There is a specific kind of silence. Not the silence of an empty room. Not the silence of waiting for someone. The silence of a room that is exactly the way you left it. Where nothing has been moved, nothing has been touched. Nothing has been changed by anyone but you. If you know that silence, this video is about you and what living alone has quietly done to your mind, your relationship with yourself and the world that very few people ever talk about.
Let's start with what most people assume about people who live alone. That they are lonely. That they wish things were different. That the aloneness is something they are enduring, rather than something they have chosen. And sometimes that is true. But research consistently shows something more complex. People who live alone and have learned to live alone well develop a relationship with themselves that most people never have. They know what they like, really like. Not what they like in front of other people. Not what they like when they're performing comfort for a partner. What they, alone, with no audience, actually prefer. The food, the temperature, the time they wake up, the music when no one is listening. The version of themselves that only exists when no one is watching.
Here's what psychology calls this: solitude tolerance. The ability to be with yourself without needing to escape yourself. And it is one of the rarest and most valuable psychological skills a human being can develop. Most people cannot do it. Most people fill silence immediately, with noise, with scrolling, with other people's voices. Not because they enjoy it, but because the alternative, being alone with their own thoughts, is uncomfortable, sometimes unbearable. People who live alone have faced that discomfort. Some of them repeatedly, some of them for years. And the ones who came through it different, with something that looks like stillness. Something that looks like not needing to be somewhere else to be okay.
But here's the part nobody romanticizes. Living alone is not peaceful by default. For many people, the first period of real aloneness is the most confrontational experience of their life, because the noise stops, and what was underneath the noise is still there. Every unresolved question, every avoided feeling, every version of yourself you haven't looked at directly. When you live alone, you cannot distract yourself indefinitely. Eventually, you are in a room with yourself and everything you have been carrying. And that room has no exit, only a way through. The people who live alone and thrive are usually the people who went through that room and found that what was inside was not as terrifying as they feared. And now, the philosophical part. There is a question that living alone forces you to answer. A question that people who are always surrounded can avoid indefinitely. Who am I when no one is looking? Who am I when I am not a partner, not a parent, not a colleague, not a friend? When I am not performing any role for any audience? Just here, alone, in this room. Who is that person? Most people never have to answer this. The structure of their life answers it for them. You are whoever everyone around you needs you to be. People who live alone have to answer it themselves. And the answer is often the most honest thing about them. Here's what research consistently finds about people who live alone. Done well. They tend to be more self-aware, more comfortable with uncertainty, less dependent on external validation, more selective about relationships. Not because they are cold, but because they know what genuine connection feels like. Against the contrast of its absence, they have felt loneliness, real loneliness, the kind that teaches you what you actually need from other people, and what you were mistaking for a need that was actually just habit, or fear, or the inability to be with yourself. Knowing the difference changes everything about how you love people. So, who are the people who live alone? They are not lonely by definition. They are not broken. They are not waiting to be rescued. They are people who have sat in a specific silence and not run from it, who have faced themselves without the protection of constant company, and who have found, in that facing, something they did not expect. Themselves. Clearly. Without noise. Without performance. Without the version shaped by other people's presence. Just themselves. And for some people, that is the most important thing they will ever find. Share this with someone who lives alone. Not to tell them what they're missing. To tell them what they have.